Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Strategy, Leadership, and Impact. I hope you've been well since the last time you tuned in. Going off my last episode, I have a big announcement coming up in October this year, 2025. Either the week of the 13th or the 20th, I'll be doing a book launch of my third book, The Leader You Are. I'm very excited about that, but concurrently with that book launch, I'm working on something else uh, to offer everybody, all my listeners, everybody out there who wants to become better as a leader, to grow as a leader, that they can use in order to do that. I can't go into too much detail right now, but it's definitely being developed, and I've set that deadline of either the week of the 13th or the 20th. I'll have that narrowed down by the end of August, hopefully, to launch this other offering that I'll have for everybody out there. So very excited about it. So please stay tuned, find out what that is, and I hope it's something that you can use in order to grow along your leadership journey. Without further ado, I'll get into this week's topic. And the idea for this week's topic came to me because I'm constantly getting emails from people suggesting that they become a guest on the podcast or recommending other people. It's usually someone who works for them, like an EA or a service that tries to get interviews for people on different podcasts. And a lot of them, they say that they're expert in leadership, but whenever kind of their bio comes to what you look at, the only thing they focus on is they've grown, revenue by 10 times, 100 times. They took a startup from zero to $100 million a year. You go, well, that's all well and good, but that's not the kind of leadership I'm interested in. And today's topic, it really goes to the heart of something I believe deeply in, both from my time in uniform, but also from my time in the boardroom as well. And it's that leadership isn't about making money. Money is a result of great leadership, not the reason for it. So that's why in this episode, we'll explore why chasing revenue without a purpose is a fast track to burnout, what real leadership looks like in action, and why leading with purpose isn't just feel good stuff, it's smart strategy. So, whether you're a business leader, a leader in a government organization, a community group, this one's for you. So, there's a persistent myth that's crept into boardrooms and governments and business schools alike, and that's the job of the leaders to maximize revenue, drive profit, and deliver returns. And I remember whenever I was doing my MBA, that is a big focus of it. So you're going to be in these executive positions, and that's one of the big things is to increase shareholder value, so or stakeholder value, depending on what kind of organization you're in. And look, these things they're important, but I'm not here to pretend that financial health doesn't matter at all, because revenue pays the bills, profit fuels growth, and cash flow keeps the lights on. But here's the mistake far too many leaders make. They confuse financial results with leadership itself. So let me be clear, profit is not a purpose, it's an outcome. When money becomes the mission, what usually follows is short term thinking driven by quarterly metrics, pressure that cascades down and burns people out, decisions made for optics, not outcome, a culture of fear, compliance, and transactional behavior. And often it's a slow erosion of trust and innovation and morale. I've seen it time and time again. So, where organizations they're so focused on squeezing out margin that they squeeze the life out of their people. They just run them to the ground and burn them out. And leaders are so obsessed with performance dashboards that they forget to talk their team that's behind those performance dashboards. And in the end, they become really this reactive, brittle, and dependent on spreadsheets to tell them what's going wrong rather than actually getting to the heart of the matter, which are your people. So now, if you compare that with truly high performing organizations, and these are the ones that grow sustainably, they retain great people and they adapt under pressure. Usually, you'll find something different at their core. So, they're not led by people chasing money. They're led by people pursuing excellence, service, impact, and integrity. So these are leaders that understand that culture drives performance, clarity drives execution, trust drives retention, and purpose drives innovation. So in those environments, the money comes, but it comes because of leadership, not in spite of it. So the core truth here is that money follows leadership, it doesn't define it. And if we want enduring results, results that compound over time, we've got to stop treating profits as the goal and start treating leadership as the generator of value. So if leadership isn't about chasing numbers, then what is it about? So, for years of leading in the military and local government, corporate contexts, I've seen a consistent pattern. That's great leadership shows up in behavior, not titles, not dashboards, not slogans. Let me break it down to you. I'm going to give you five practical, observable elements that you can use in any organization that you're in. So, and this is all about what leaders do that actually drive high performance. So, first, they create clarity. So, in high performing teams, no one's guessing. So, people know exactly what we're trying to achieve. They know how we're going to get there and what role they play in making it happen. It's incredibly important. When they understand what role they play in making it happen, they actually creates buy-in for them. So, and clarity, it removes confusion, duplication, wasted energy and effort within the organization, and it creates alignment. So instead of 10 people rowing in different directions, you've got a team moving as one. And without clarity, even talented people can flounder. So even small teams can really achieve these outsized or outstanding or really great results when they have clarity. And the number two thing that great leaders do is they cultivate culture. So culture, it's not about perks or posters on the wall that the motivational slogans. It's actually how people behave when no one's watching. So if people behave well when no one's watching, you probably have a great culture. And great leaders, they don't just talk about values. So they embed them in how their decisions are made, how feedback is getting given, how success is celebrated, and how failures handled. Uh, Great leaders, they build team where psychological safety is real, not performative. And if you want to know about psychological safety, just go back to the last episode. People can challenge ideas without fear. Accountability is the norm, not the exception, excuse me. And that's people have to be comfortable being held accountable. And as leaders, we have to be comfortable being held accountable. But their teams, it's also mutual respect overrides egos every time. And where culture is strong, performance follows. Where culture is weak, performance becomes inconsistent and often political. And that's where you get all the infighting within the office that you don't want to have. The third thing that great leaders do is they develop people, develop others, just like we're doing here. And I'm not saying I'm a great leader. I'm saying I like to help and build, help develop others and myself. So the best leaders are also the best coaches. So they see their team not as a static resource, but as people with this untapped potential that they can help tap into. So they invest in things like growth and they create opportunities and they offer feedback with care and clarity and they stretch people a little bit beyond their comfort zone just a little bit at a time. You have to understand each individual's tolerance for being able to have that done. And once you understand that, you actually work to that and help them stretch beyond their comfort zones in order to grow, because that's what we have to do to initiate growth. Uh, and here's the thing, if your team isn't growing, your leadership probably isn't either. And that's where I found by actually for myself, by sharing my leadership philosophy and other things I come across through these forums, such as the podcast, such as my books, I'm growing as a leader too. I'm learning every single day in every single instance or experience that I have, I'm learning. In organizations that don't develop people, they end up paying for it in the end. So that's through turnover, disengagement, or just poor execution. So if you're not developing your people, your organization probably isn't developing as well. And so the fourth thing that great leaders do, so they make tough decisions with integrity. So I've mentioned this last episode. Real leadership is revealed in moments of tension, and real culture is developed in moments of tension. Where the pressure's on, the trade offs are usually real, and the easy option is to cut corners or compromise. So great leaders don't do that. They make decisions that align with values, not just metrics. So even when those decisions are unpopular, even when they cost money in the short term, they make it because integrity earns trust, and trust is the currency of leadership. Without it, people may comply, but they won't commit, and that's what we want is commitment. And then the fifth thing that great leaders do is they serve a purpose beyond profit. And this is at the heart of it all. So great leaders are anchored in a purpose bigger than themselves. Whether that's serving a community, creating meaningful employment, protecting the environment, or simply just building something they can be proud of. They wake up thinking about impact, not income. And that purpose, whenever you have that, is contagious. It inspires people, it attracts talent, it builds resilience, and in the long run, it drives profit, not through pressure, but through belief. So if we put that all together, clarity, culture, development, integrity, and purpose, and you get an organization people want to be a part of. People don't just show up for a paycheck, they show up with their hearts, their minds, and their best effort. And that's where all the magic happens. So I'm going to leave you with a few questions to reflect on, especially if you're in a position of leadership right now. So the first one is, are you chasing results or leading the people and culture that create them? Do you, or excuse me, do your team members feel like valued contributors, or are they just a cost to be managed? Is your organization guided by purpose or steered by pressure? It's easy to to really get caught up in the numbers. So your budgets, your KPIs, your targets, they matter. Don't get me wrong. They do matter. They're very important, but they are mirrors, not maps. They show us what's happened, but they don't tell us how to lead forward. That's your job as a leader. Leadership sets the direction. It's the compass, not the scoreboard. And when you lead with clarity, integrity, and purpose, the results come. That's when the revenues follow and people thrive. So as you go back to your team, your business, or your organization, just remember this: profit is the applause, leadership is the performance. Lead first, then let the money follow, because it will follow. I'll guarantee it. What are your thoughts on this? I want to know. Send me an email at blakerepine@gmail.com or connect with me on LinkedIn. Just search my name, Blake Repine. Connect with me through there. Send me a message. I get lots of messages through LinkedIn. I will message you back. And I really appreciate all the feedback I've been given on the podcast and on the YouTube videos and everything I've been putting out. And let's continue to grow together. Thank you very much. We'll talk again soon.